So when does arguing become toxic?
When does arguing become toxic? Arguing becomes toxic when you kind of lost the point of why you're even arguing in the first place, and basically you're just tit for tat trying to hurt each other. When arguments become not even about the issue, but just about being right, just about having one up on the person, or just about, making them feel the pain that you're feeling, that shit becomes toxic. It becomes toxic when you start things because you just like the drama, or you trying to does he love me? Let me do this to see if he loves me and to see what he's gonna do. That's bullshit.
I ain't with it.
Yeah. So if you want to do a test, then I don't like tests.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean that's when things can get toxic.
And arguing, I believe that it is inevitable. Like, you will have arguments. However,
No, you won't. You'll never have arguments.
You will have disagreements.
No, you won't.
Okay. So
you won't.
Why won't I?
Because I said so.
If y'all can see my face
I was trying to start an argument. Hey, hold on. I got the perfect one for that. Here we go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
I love that.
I'm looking like, what? So in reality, I do, there are going to be times that you're going to disagree and it could formulate into an argument. I do not like arguments. I don't like arguing. And you said something where, I was like, I gotta see if he loved me. Like, she loved me. Like, some people really feel like
a lot of
if you arguing, that means oh yeah, she loved me.
Oh no, it gets deeper than that. It's like, if you beat me, he don't love you unless he beats you. Like, people learn that shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But yeah, I'm not that person. I do not.
You're not gonna beat me?
No.
You don't really love me then, babe.
You
need to show me how much you love me.
Yeah, I don't. I don't love you that much, because
that's fucked up. You better slap
to
me
beat
around,
you. Yeah, no. Listen, I 100%. I told you that story, dude. I'm like, no. I would be like, all right, you got it. Like, if your voice gets too loud for me, but I've been like that, from growing up as a child. Like, my parents knew they didn't even have to yell so much, but it's certain things we can communicate without, I think for me, sometimes you get excited and your voice may, your pitch may go up, but literally when you're walking through the house and people are yelling, arguing, that is toxic. For me, that's toxic, and it can literally be one time, but that is toxic. And it's can we sit down?
Yeah.
Can we actually talk about it? You're excited. Okay. Excitement is cool. Okay. Whatever. Where I see you're passionate about it. But when it goes to that other level, because you never know what's next. Okay, it started yelling and then their eyes start turning red or something.
I mean, what's going on? This nigga crazy.
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just know that arguments, I do believe, will happen at some point.
Of course.
But
that's pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah. But if it's every other day we argue, every other night or
that
whatever,
becomes toxic because you can't resolve it.
Yeah. So that I think that knowing when it becomes toxic, every person needs to again sit down with yourself, revisit if that's something you saw in your childhood, revisit if that's something you saw in previous relationships. Sit down and just really see because my version of toxic for some people is oh, girl, that's it. That's all he did was scream. That's all he did was yell.
Right.
So yeah, just there are healthy ways to communicate. And that goes back to the chat room question from the beginning, literally communicating and learning, how you learn love languages. Sit down and learn communication styles and literally hear a person. If you're just arguing, going back and forth, that's toxic. Like, we have to be able to sit down and really hear and feel like we're being heard, feel like we're being respected before, like, that's a healthy argument.
You said when you're arguing and going back and forth, that's toxic.
No, when you're just like, no, 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 you did this, no, you did this, no, you did it. Like, there's no, like you said, no resolution.
Yeah, I think it becomes toxic when it starts to become abusive, and when it starts to really start to hurt you.
Yeah, and that's verbally too. Like, verbally
Oh, yeah,
abuse
of
is
course.
also, yeah. So
100%,
that I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree with
exactly
you
what I was
100%.
talking about. It becomes you'll feel it. It'll feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
You'll feel anxious. You feel scared, trying to avoid the next argument. That's toxic.
Very, babe. Very
So,
toxic.
Yeah.
So
When it starts to become hurtful and abusive, and it doesn't resolve, like you said, so you can feel like that, and then you can resolve it and you move on, right?
mhm.
You can make a mistake. But when you feel like that, and then keeps compounding, or just happens again the next
Continual.
week, or it just becomes a repetitive cycle. Yeah.
But I wanted just to make a point. I only said verbally abusive because sometimes when people hear abusive,
Yeah.
they only think like physical
Yeah.
or whatever. But there is emotional in both ways. Like, a man can sit there and be feeling like a punching bag as
Absolutely.
well, like, by words, and then vice versa. Like, a woman can be sitting there and like,
And women
feeling
can
torn
100%
down.
be physically and verbally abusive,
100%.
as men can. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So just, I wanted to be clear on that because you're absolutely right. It is toxic when it becomes abusive, physically, emotionally, all of the above.
It's causing you continual distress. It's toxic.
It's toxic.
Yeah.
I agree.
Or if you don't like the word toxic, throw in whatever word you like.
You want to throw in? Absolutely.